comic books, movies, TV, and more. Nerds are everywhere. It's time to assemble! It's Nerds United.
Hello and welcome to a brand new Nerds United on YouTube. I'm your host. My name is Gr8 M8s. Joining me, as always, the co-host of the year, 2 years running, Mike Luther. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Make sure my headphones are right as rain.
Can they be wrong?
I mean, yes. I swear, one time we did the podcast, and I think this little piece right here was up because the sound was just slightly off. So,
You don't think that's me screwing with you in post to make myself sound better?
it could be. Who knows?
It's not. We all know that I don't put that much effort into it.
Greg, you know what I was thinking about? Yeah.
I was just say, I back in my radio days, when I was doing, like when I had to record and produce commercials, I always call myself One Take Greg. I did one take, moving on.
See, a lot of people would say, like, hey, I'm one take Mike because all I need is one take. You just did one take. It doesn't necessarily mean you needed. You might have needed more than one take. But yeah,
You call me out on that. The owner of the station didn't even listen.
okay. I'll say won't say anymore. You know what I was thinking about recently, Greg?
Oh, tell me.
We haven't done a Facebook Live in like years. I don't know. I forget if it's even possible to do, but I do have Facebook on this laptop now.
It is. I've looked into this because I'm certainly not opposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is like I would, or let me rephrase. When I looked into it, this is how it was. I don't know if it's still the same, but I would start a Facebook Live from the Nerds United page and invite you as Mike Luther in via satellite. But
oh yes,
you have a better idea.
No, I was only bringing that up because I found out today that my work wants me to do a Facebook Live event in August.
Oh,
so
are you gonna like add me in and be like, "Hi guys, I'm the not co-host of the year."
I wish I could add a bunch of people in. Unfortunately, it's going to be me and two other people, and hopefully more of them and less of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've told them, I'm like, I'm going to try my best on the live, but I don't know how well I'm going to do live.
What we can do to get you, because we got a couple months until this, we can just have you take the lead on the show and get you comfortable in that more leadership role.
I have no problem taking a leadership role in this. It's going to be slightly different because we talk about nerd stuff and pop culture and comic books. And we, on occasion, might talk about alcohol. That Facebook Live is all going to be about alcohol, but not the way we talk about it. Yeah.
I haven't had, well, I had a beer, went for anniversary dinner with my wife last weekend. I had a pint at the restaurant, but I recently got into a friendly competition weight loss contest with some coworkers, and it's based on percentage. And since I can't say I have the most to lose, but I'm like second most of people who are. I really like my chances. So
what are your steps as far as like, what are you doing for the weight loss? Is it just eating less, exercise?
I'm eating better. So you know this because you're from like the town, or you're from the area where our office is. We had a big like agency meeting yesterday, and I don't know, a treat, but my boss, he passed around an order form. Write down what you want from Wally's. And, everybody's like, double cheeseburger fries, cheese cup, double cheeseburger with all the fixins. got to me, and I put, and I didn't know that he was planning this, so I'd already taken my lunch. I said, respectfully decline. I'm going to win. Because my boss is one of the people in. So he actually bought and paid for an extra double cheeseburger and fries, like to tempt me. I'm like, no, you understand? I'm going to do this. So I've tried to up my fruit intake. I've tried to cut back on some portions. And I don't want to be graphic, but I'm trying to poop as often as I can.
I mean, technically, I guess that helps. Yeah. But, it's the good thing is it always helps. Whenever you do a challenge, it always helps to have, coworkers or friends around because, never mind. I was going to say none of my friends need to lose weight, but some of them do. All right. The only kind of like challenge I have done in the past is the Sober October.
Oh,
I did that. I also did it for February too, because I was just like, all right, might as well. February is really short month. So, but I didn't have anybody to do it with. So I still did it, but then it was like one of those things where halfway through, I'm like, I could just stop doing this. Like there's no accountability, but I went through it. So
aside from that beer that I had at dinner, I haven't really, I've pretty much cut alcohol out. So if we get to 60 subscribers in sometime in June, I will have to take my obligatory shot because that was grandfathered in, if you will. But I'm going to try something new this week, or should I say this weekend, and continue it on. And if that works, I'll maybe talk more about it next week on the show.
Like new,
like a workout type.
Oh, okay. I thought when you said it, because you were talking about alcohol, and you said, I'm going to try something new, like black tar heroin.
No.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I wanted to help you out.
I don't want to sound too old. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even know where to find it if I wanted it.
I wouldn't know either, to be honest with you.
Good.
Which is good. I'm sure people are happy. Should we get on to the topic today so I don't have to time code this too much?
Probably should. So You saw the last video, which was a quick little one-shot 3-minute video of me imploring you, the viewer, to reach into your brain, in your brain cells, and come up with, to set the premise of this on a recent Fat Man Beyond with, of course, Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, right here on youtube.com/Kevin Smith. They talked about, and of course, that Masters of the Universe Revelation is coming out very soon. It's like 6 weeks away on Netflix, July 23rd. And it is not a reboot. It's not a remake, or it's as, I guess, sequel, if you will, to that classic 80s cartoon that I certainly grew up and loved. And my son still has Snake Mountain now upstairs. My old Snake Mountain is now his. But it's a continuation of that story. So the question that was asked, because they have hundreds of thousands of viewers every week, we have you guys and gals, and we appreciate you. Just tell your friends, get us more. But the question was, if you could pull another IP from that time period to, for lack of a better term, resurrect in that same fashion of a continuation of the story, what IP would it be? And they certainly had ideas, and Kevin Smith finally said, one that I could theoretically do would be like a continuation of the Batman 66, Adam West, Burt Ward, that, as campy and innocent as that show was. So that got me thinking is, okay, well, if we're going to use all that tone and tenor of the 66 series, who could we get to star in that role? And so we have 8 characters from the show, and we're going to kind of go through and FanCast, if you will, what a Batman 66 series could look like in 2021, if such a thing was ever to be made again. So, Mike, I feel like we should lead to Batman, which means that my list is now all out of order because I had I had all the heroes, then the villains. But let's and this is in no disrespect to the character, but let's start kind of at the bottom and work our way up. And so I'd like to start with Alfred.
All right. By the way, on my list, because I have them written out on my phone, I don't know if there was a typo or autocorrect, but it's written as Alfredo.
Even better.
Yeah, so he's Italian.
I was going to say, and he better find an Italian actor.
Yes. No. Well, I don't know if this guy's Italian or not. I would think not, but he's a very well-known actor. Been in many, many roles. Older guy, of course, because you need an older guy for Alfredo. But I chose Donald Sutherland.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He can play a father figure. He can play a butler. It's Donnie Suggs. He can do whatever he wants.
He does. It's interesting that you went with Donald Sutherland because, one of his famous roles was in the MASH movie. And so my Alfred was also in that movie. But I know him more from, he was in a series that I knew of it. I think it was like one of those Sunday night, like serial or not serial, I don't know, Sunday night dramas. But I really know him as the dad in, I want to say it was early 90s. What was one of Brad Pitt's early roles? A River Runs Through It. You ever see that?
I've never saw it, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. It's one of my underrated favorite movies. I'll pull out the DVD and watch it from time to time because it's relatively calm. There's a few bar fights and things like that, but it's a kind of a quiet, more peaceful movie with some inherent drama of the times of living in Montana in the 1920s, whatever it might be. But the dad in that was Tom Skerritt. And I'm only assuming I'm pronouncing that right. But I feel like, he's got that, again, that fatherly, presence, much like Donnie Suggs.
Okay.
Tommy Skeer. I don't have a nickname. But I feel like he's got the on-screen recognition. But he's also, he's 87 years old. So he's maybe, I don't want to say frail. I'm not insinuating that, but I feel like he's old enough to where you're not expecting him to jump into action, so right. He can just kind of be there. It's tough because I love Michael Caine so much. And so casting any Alfred was really tough. And I even looked like at actors across the pond, but you get the same ones. You get the Michael Caines, the Patrick Stewarts, the Ian McClellans, those types. And I'm like, I don't want somebody who's already been in the genre.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, I think Donnie Suggs is like 97 or something. Like that. He's old.
Well, how old is Kiefer?
Kiefer is probably 87, I think.
He's as old as Tom Skerritt.
Yeah.
So from there, I don't know. Do you want to do a villain or you want to do Batgirl?
Let's go Batgirl.
Okay. I will go first. Go first last time. I mentioned this show last week on podcast because it's a new show on Netflix. It's a series. I think it's only about 6 episodes. I'm assuming they certainly set it up for season 2. And I know on the podcast we'll talk about shows, unfortunately, not getting second seasons. But from the Fate, the Winx saga series, she played the kind of the main character, one of those Harry Potter, Percy Jackson types who suddenly finds out she has this power, doesn't know where this power comes from. You find out she was born in the world of magic, we'll say. Her name was Bloom, and the actress's name is Abigail, I'm going to say Cowen, Cowen. Largely, this one's going to sound bad. I don't know, bad. But I went for, I want, it's Barbara Gordon. So I want, Jim Gordon to not be retired. I definitely want him to be, around Gotham Central Police Department. So I went for, someone in her 20s, but also I wanted to keep it very close to Batgirl. So I went with a red-haired actress.
Okay.
So that was like,
nice.
Dear Google.
I understand. I mean, I would say right now, almost all of my picks were I first thought of like who kind of looks like this person, and then can they do it?
Right.
Or if I didn't know, if I wasn't like, I don't know if anybody really looks like this person. For some of them, I was like skinny actors or whatever, and then that would just get the ball rolling with whatever. I didn't do that for Batgirl, by the way. Just say it. For Batgirl, and actually, I was talking to you earlier just to make sure I had everybody on my list, and the one I forgot was Batgirl. That was earlier in the day. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about Batgirl. So, but when you said it, yeah,
you had Alfred, but not Batgirl.
Yeah, Alfred's he's known. You know, you can't have Batman and Robin without Alfred.
That's true.
You can have Batman and Robin without Batgirl. But I thought one came into my head right away, and you'll like her, Greg. It's your favorite Brie. It's Allison Brie.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, tricked you there.
Also from Community.
Yes. By the way, I actually did think of Brie Larson at first, but then I was like, That Allison Brie came into my mind.
So here's a fun little story about the actress who played Batgirl. Her name was Yvonne Craig.
Okay.
And she was from Illinois.
I don't remember her.
You would if you like saw a picture of her, especially if you saw a picture of her.
No, I'm saying I don't remember meeting her.
No.
Yeah.
Well, she passed about 6 years ago, but from Taylorville, which may or may not mean anything to you, but it's up by like the town where my grandma lives. So,
that's up north, right?
Yeah. When I was a kid, my grandpa used to take me fishing at over at Taylorville. So that town has a lot of significance to especially to little Greg. So she's from Illinois, and of course that's not where she passed on from. You know, after she struck it big in the world of Hollywood, she stayed out there and passed in Pacific Palisades, California, at the age of 78.
Yeah. I just think I think Allison Brie. Once I started watching, I watched a little bit of clips of Batgirl. You know, just to remember, because I watched Batman 66 when I was younger. That was one of those shows that came on in the afternoons or whatever it was. And I just feel like Allison Brie could fit the type. I think the fighting type, because she is in Glow. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I never watched it. I certainly know about it. But yeah, it was the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling series on Netflix that went 3-4 seasons, maybe.
I think I didn't even finish the first season, and it was good, and I would probably go back to it. But there was other stuff that came up at the time. But I think she can play those good roles. That I think she worked perfect for Batgirl.
Yeah. Well, let's meet some of our villains, shall we?
All right, you name a villain.
I know which villains I want to do last, so I'm torn between which those to do first. I'll let you pick between Riddler and Penguin.
Let's go Penguin.
Okay.
Once again, I'm going with an older actor. I watched the clips of the old school Batman 66 Penguin, and this actor came to mind. So what?
Burgess Meredith.
Yes, of course. Everybody knows that.
Well, most famously, I would say most famously, he was Mick in Rocky.
I actually did not know that.
Really?
Or something new every day. Yeah.
Pat myself on the back.
But good job. But this person, once again, well-known actor, has been in a ton of roles, has played villains before, in fact. And I'm going with Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, okay. I went a completely different route.
That's good.
I still want there to be some lightheartedness to this series. I don't know, if we got there in my first two, casting choices, but I think most, with the exception maybe one, most of the rest bring a certain, light element to it. So for me, my Penguin, I went Patton Oswalt.
Oh, okay.
So,
Which he's played Penguin before. Have you ever seen the Batman film series or videos?
I think you told me about them and maybe shared one.
Yes,
but that did not factor into
it's funny. He plays the Penguin in one of them.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and a very funny video too.
Does he play with with a top hat or and
he has? I remember he has like a messed up ear. That's one thing I remember. Like the ear's like gone or something like that. But it's a funny video.
Well,
yeah. So obviously, yes, Patton Oswalt could play the Penguin.
I was gonna say, and again, that in no way factored into my selection there. Riddler, I think I'm going to get some hell on.
Okay.
But I'm going with I know people who dislike this actor because of a role he played. It was a lengthy role.
Right.
But I think he is. So in casting, I was trying to find out more about some of the players who had these roles back in 1966, 67, 68. Sean Astin's dad played Riddler for a short while before he was Gomez Adams. Might have been after he was Gomez Adams. Best friend of the show, Josh, will be available to chime in and tell me. But I always preferred the Frank Gorshin Riddler. A little bit more wacky, type of thing. It's a horrible Riddler laugh. So I went with someone who has a little bit more variety in his IMDb catalog. He is hated. Well, he's not loved, at least by some, for his role as Ryan the Temp on The Office. I went with B.J. Novak.
Okay. First of all, I didn't know people hated him.
Friends of mine are like, I despise Ryan. I'm like, oh, and I despise BJ because he was Ryan. Like, okay.
I mean, out of all the people to hate in The Office, he is not my number one.
Who's your number one?
Michael Scott.
Yeah. I mean, I keep thinking about this because I remember when he departed the series, before he came back for, like the series finale, but when he left and like he had confided in Jim that he was really taking off today and he's not going to be there tomorrow. And Jim like has to tell him, he's like, and this very heartfelt, like, yeah, he turned out to be the best boss I ever had. I'm like, when? What did he ever do? Everything was so like just like read the room, So yeah, I'm in agreement. He's definitely not high on my list of favorite characters. But I like BJ Novak. Did you ever see I know for sure it is on Disney Plus, but did you ever see Saving Mr. Banks?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's in that. He's one of the
the songwriters.
Yeah. The one of the brothers. So I like him. I feel like he's got a little versatility to bring to the role. So I'm going with BJ Novak.
I like it. All right. So for the Riddler for mine, I'm going with a guy that's already played a trickster of sorts. I am going with Sir Tom Hiddleston.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as I was like, ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you. The Riddler, it was like with Riddler and Joker, I was casting back and forth between them. Like I would think of one person and be like, okay, I'll say right now who I had originally for Riddler. And it was based on, I'm like, I think they kind of look similar. And I'm like, maybe this guy can do comedy because I haven't seen him do comedy, but he's a once again, well-known actor. Mm-hmm. Daniel Craig.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I had him originally for a while.
Have you seen Knives Out? Did we talk about that?
No, I've heard of it. Obviously, I haven't seen it yet.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they are certainly making 2 more.
Yep, for Netflix.
Netflix's, yeah.
Yep.
Good catch. But it's you get a little bit of something you haven't seen from Daniel Craig in that, because he's like plays like a deep Cajun accent, something like that.
Okay.
So it's a little bit off, but it's a lot of fun. I can admit, as for the casting, like the last 2 that I could really pin down and cast were Riddler and Batman. Like,
okay,
I don't know if you had any trouble with Batman, but Batman was actually the last person that I cast.
Batman was the first one I thought of when you said this.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense.
And,
Batman 66.
But, yeah,
not Joker.
but I'm saying, but I'm saying, like, when you said Batman 66, I was like, oh, Batman. Okay, this guy.
Okay.
But it changed. It changed slightly.
Okay,
So,
I'm excited to hear
yeah.
where you were and where you ended up.
Yeah.
So we've done Penguin and Riddler.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Catwoman. Where are you at on Catwoman?
Catwoman. So once again, I saw a picture and I said, okay. And actually, I think there was 2 girls that played Catwoman. At least there was 3 of them. Okay.
So there was Julie Newmar,
Mm-hmm.
Eartha Kitt, and they had a 3rd one for the Batman 66 movie, whose name escapes me at the moment. Give me just a minute, and
Yeah. So as you're looking that up, I'll say. So I said this one, looks similar, but I also thought, okay, this person has also played the line between villain and hero. Yes.
Lee Merriweather played
okay. Yeah.
Catwoman in the movie.
Yeah. So with that being said, the person I went with was Tessa Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. And
yeah.
It's funny because I really tried to stay away from established genre names.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an exception. I have Joker is barely an exception, but I think everything else. And if you take away what you told me now about Patton Oswalt, and of course his role in MODOK, and if you want to get technical, maybe his filibuster episode from Parks and Rec. So I really did try to avoid actors who'd already been in a genre, and especially in a comic book property. This is an exception, and she starred as a child in actually a Mark Miller project, Kick-Ass.
Okay.
As Hit Girl.
Oh, yep.
And so my Catwoman is Chloe Grace Moretz.
Very good actress. She can definitely portray the villain/hero role as well.
And
think about it.
Look the part.
And look the part. Absolutely. Yes.
So, and again, what I think as I mentioned earlier, what I tried to do is find when in 1966, when the series debuted, how old were some of these actors, and then I tried to also keep it in that age range because I didn't want to hire, my first thought for Catwoman, I was like, Julia Stiles, because I've never seen her be a bad actress in anything, I mean, like even 10 Things I Hate About You that I saw 20 something years ago, it holds up. It's a very fun movie, that oddly enough, despite the fact it's like a high school, almost stereotypical high school movie, I never really outgrew it. But I did this with the men too. I don't want to be like, sure, you're too old for the role, but like there were other names that I considered for Batman and Robin that I'm like, they're not quite what I'm looking for. For these roles. Again, I looked at how old Adam West was, had a pretty good idea how old Burt Ward was when the show came out. So I wanted to keep it very similar in age to the originals. So
that's understandable. Yeah, I didn't get that far into like trying to figure out what their age was or anything like that. I did kind of like I said, look at the character, watch clips of the character so I can kind of get an idea of the age. I might have been like for Penguin, I just know he looked older, but he's probably not Anthony Hopkins old. But I just kind of did that.
Hopkins will forgive you for the bold statements you've made.
Sorry, Anthony Hopkins. I know you watch.
Right.
You're probably one of the subscribers. But what you were talking about, how you didn't want a lot of mainstream actors in yours. Mine, I said you have to be a mainstream actor to get into my Batman 66 movie. So,
which gets us to Joker, and my Joker definitely mainstream. Perhaps the most well-known name on the list.
Okay.
And I went back to, Cesar Romero, who was a very established actor, and then he was a leading man. And then something silly came around in the 60s and it reshaped his career. And, people like us, it's more what he's known for rather than, being in countless Westerns and, a dashing, like hero leading man. I went with a leading man of sorts, more so for TV than film. And like I said, he's got a little bit of comic book experience. But for my Joker, I think it would be an interesting take. Curious to hear the feedback on this. Kelsey Grammer.
Okay. Definitely not what I would expect. But the way you describe it would go with Joker, the Batman 66 Joker, as far as leading man. Because he had, obviously, in the, 90s, 2000s, whenever Frasier was on.
90s.
90s, yeah. He obviously had a very popular TV show. And he can do comedy.
And I think I think he would embrace the freedom of going a little over the top.
Yeah.
And, a little bit of that scheming, villainous type of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Not what I would expect, but not bad. I would say good, in fact. Let's see what Kelsey Grammer can do.
That's right.
Mine is, trying to figure out how, who this guy is. He has, you would know him from a TV series that you had just within the last year, I think, watched on Netflix. I had told you about it for a long time, and then finally you watched it, and I think had a podcast about it. So he can play a comedy role, and in fact, he plays kind of an over-the-top comedy role. Like Kelsey Grammer, you would have to push him a little bit. I think this guy, you would have to almost pull back a little bit, just slightly.
I'm trying to figure out. I think there was only one. How many shows have you asked me to watch on Netflix?
I mean, tons of them, honestly.
But how many have I actually watched?
I think only one, maybe two. I don't really know one. But I'm talking this one. I'm going with from Community, Jim Rash. Okay. Now, here's the thing, though. He has to, because I've seen, not in the show, this wasn't true, but after the show, so he grew a little mustache. He has to keep the mustache. Because that's the whole thing. That's the thing about Cesar Romero. Well, yeah. Could you imagine Kelsey Grammer, in his older years, he grew a beard and he just got to keep the beard and got to keep the grease paint over it. I like that, Jim Rash. So you're right. Community. Because my memory is so bad, admittedly. Same. And everybody who knows me will tell you. When you said it's a show I told you to watch a whole bunch of times, you finally did. I was like, Immortals? Just watched that, and you only said it twice. And right. So when you said Community, I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Yeah, right. Yeah. And there's also a world, going to Community, there's also a world where Joel McHale would be a really incredible Joker as well. Yeah, he's really tall, though. That's, I think Joel McHale is like 6'4" or something like that. So not that it would matter too much. Like you wouldn't base everything on that, but if you have your Batman as 6 foot and the Joker as 6'4",
Talk about punching up.
All right.
Biff pow.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got through all of our villains. We've got through our assisting heroes.
Yep.
But we'll do Robin. We'll do our community input, and then
okay.
And then we'll do Batman. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah.
So well, take it away. You get first crack at Robin.
All right. So Robin, I don't know really why. I mean, I don't know why I thought of this guy first, but I thought of him as kind of like the perfect sidekick. He can play because Robin, well, both Batman and Robin, but Robin in particular was kind of cheesy, kind of almost childlike. I'll just say it. I'm going with Dave Franco.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you want your well, I don't know who you have for Batman yet, but I'm pretty sure your Robin is older than my Batman.
Really?
Dave Franco, he's
37 maybe?
Yeah.
No, not even.
He's almost
not
our
even.
age.
Yeah.
But I like Dave Franco. You're right. He's got that like immaturity, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not to knock, but oftentimes that's where his roles lead him to is being a little bit on the goofier, immature side. So I like Dave. That's not knocking Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. He's 35. I just looked it up, and he's on the shorter side too, which I think Robin is short. It's only 5'7". So, my Batman is significantly older than Franco.
You said Franco's 35?
Yeah.
My Batman just turned 36 this year.
God, I'm so curious now.
Also, my Batman much shorter than I thought he was.
Okay.
He's barely under 6 foot. But we'll get to my Batman here in a few minutes. My Robin has the benefit of already, I think he's in his young 20s, but he has a recurring. I mean, he has a series where he's kind of the focal point, where he's a teenager, and he plays based on a true story type of a character from the 1980s. The show is the Goldbergs, and the actor is the leading character. He plays Adam Goldberg on the show, and that's Sean. I'm probably going to mispronounce the last name. Giambrone.
That sounds like a made up name.
It's not made up. I actually found out recently that. So my son loves dinosaurs. My oldest son loves dinosaurs. So we've been watching that Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous.
Okay.
Netflix. And one of the kids, it's like six kids get stranded on Isla Nubla or whatever the Jurassic World is on, when Indominus Rex goes crazy, spoiler alert, and they evacuate the island. These 6 kids get left behind at Camp Cretaceous, so they got to fend for themselves. And one of their voices, I'm like, well, that voice sounds awfully familiar. So I finally looked up just a couple weeks ago after watching this show for the last 6 months, off and on. And it was this Sean Giambrone I'm like, oh, I know exactly why I know that voice now, because I've watched the Goldbergs, not entirely, but I've watched it quite a bit. So again, already used to playing somebody younger than his age. He looks younger than his age, so I think that kind of fits the Robin character a little bit. And Burt Ward was no world beater physically, so I think it's a good fit. So I'm very pleased with that casting.
It's definitely interesting. If you would have asked me how old was Burt Ward when he started playing Robin, without looking up, just looking at him, I would have guessed like 30 something.
Oh,
yeah,
he was like 16, wasn't he?
I have no idea. He doesn't look 16, but again, they look different back in '66.
They aged faster, man.
They aged faster. That just happened. But yeah, obviously,
Okay,
I mean,
so
the kid,
not to interrupt you, not to cut you
okay,
off,
good.
but born July 1945. So when the series debuted, he was 21.
When did the series actually debut in 66? Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
By
I thought
comparison,
66 sounds good.
The young man that I'm suggesting for it is already, I think, 23 or 22.
How old was Adam West when it started?
I'm glad you asked. I believe he was 35, 36. He was born in 28. Carried the one. Yeah, he was about 38.
Okay.
Again, when it debuted.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe not when he was started filming, but
yeah, true. It could have been 20 years later. Who knows?
He was 18 and Burt Ward was still in the womb.
Right.
So,
all right. So are we down to Batman now?
We're down to Batman. So let's jump.
Go to the mates.
Yeah. Let's go to YouTube first, where we did put the, hey, we'd love your input. The John Pound. This was what he, and nobody knew. I mean, you didn't know until I said, hey, I've got one for Batgirl as well. So nobody knew exactly who all we'd be casting. I kind of went with, more of the 8 familiar faces. But the John Pound says Finn Wolfhard as Robin, Daniel Radcliffe as Batman, Jim Parsons as the Riddler.
I like that.
He says Bill Body as Penguin. Billy Body as Penguin. Is that a name you're familiar with, Mike? Because I didn't.
It is not. I'm looking him up right now.
He also said,
and I'm getting nothing for Bill Body, to be honest with you.
He also says Kevin Hart as Joker.
Okay,
I could see it.
I can see it too.
Here's the thing: and I think it works well for him in comedy. Mm-hmm. If Kevin Hart was 6 inches, I don't know exactly how tall he is, but if he was like 6 inches taller, he would be. I mean, I know he's done a lot of stuff with The Rock, but I think he would be at the next level.
Unfortunately, in Hollywood, probably true, but he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no complaints.
Yeah, I would say he has to also grow a mustache. Every Joker we have has to grow a mustache. By the way, I'm not for Kevin Hart. Obviously, I wouldn't want to cover him in makeup. That's not good. But I just wanted to cover the mustache. That's it. You guys grow a mustache. That's,
Or could he just have the goatee and just have an outline?
That's fine.
Who was it in the, 20 whatever years ago? Was that Cisco that had the whatever little bit of hair on here, but in the music videos, he had it painted silver or bright blue or something like that if he was on MTV? That's all we want, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
We want you to have whatever facial hair, paint it a different color for every episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And we never address it ever. No. It's just there. In interviews, we never say anything about it.
That would be the best. So the founder of the YouTube mates, Sylar Magic, SYLAR Magic on YouTube. Make sure you throw him a subscribe as well. Says, I want John Hamm. I know it makes no sense, but I want it! ! I'm like, that's a really weird cast for Batgirl.
I know. What are you thinking, Sylar? Come on.
No. Look, John Hamm's been a popular name thrown around for Batman since before Ben Affleck took the cowl. So, and I think there's probably still some interest there from the St. Louis born and fellow blues fan actor. When we go over to Facebook, best friend of the show, Josh, had a few insights. He wanted Patrick Warburton to re-enter the live action cheesy superhero, because you got to go back to the 90s when he played the Tick.
Yeah.
So Patrick Warburton for Batman, Danny DeVito or Troy Gentile, I don't know, for Penguin, Joe Lotruglio or Max Greenfield or Ty Burrell or Billy Eichner as Riddler.
Hey, best friend of the show, Josh, pick one. You just named off 7 people that you want. Just pick one of them. Best friend of the show, Josh. Jeez. All right, sorry. Continue on.
So for Joker, he won. This would be really good because he mentioned Ty Burrell for Riddler. He also mentions Ty Burrell for Joker. Don't know how that would happen, but it does seem, to like you said, it could do one, could be the other. He says Ty Burrell, Rami Malek, or Walter Goggins for Joker. I think a Walter Goggins Joker would be particularly nefarious.
Yeah.
And he says, Robin, I'm struggling with. All I can think of is number 5 from the Umbrella Academy, but he isn't silly enough.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, he could probably play silly. Who knows?
He and I had a side conversation where we were essentially casting this show with characters, not so much actors, but characters from Parks and Recreation. He's like, I don't know. Ron Swanson as Batman seems to make a lot of sense to me. So I was like, then you have Leslie Knope, I think would make a terrific Batgirl.
Okay.
And he said one of the later seasons after the two towns, Pawnee and Eagleton merge, and Craig comes over and joins the Parks and Rec department. Mm-hmm. He thought Craig would be a really good Riddler. So
did I don't know, I forget who he played on Andy. Did he make any
I don't think
part?
So.
I wouldn't know of a part for him. Maybe Penguin.
I would have liked to have seen like Andy Dwyer pre getting cut for getting ripped for the Marvel movies. I would have Chris
Pratt.
Thank you. I was like, it's not Evans, it's not Hemsworth, it's not Pine, it's the other one. Chris Pratt. I think if he would have been a little lighter but not cut. Because Adam West certainly wasn't cut in the 60s. But let's get to it, Mike.
All right.
Let's get to our Batman. I'm super curious to hear yours. I want you to go first.
Okay. Mine, like I said, I originally I thought of a different actor. And I'll tell you what actor I thought of in here in a little bit. The actor that I finally went with I
almost want to hear who you discarded first.
Okay, actually, I'll tell you first. So the first person I thought of, because I was thinking, okay, I want somebody who can do cheesy, somebody who can do campy, because that was bad. You don't want somebody really tough. You still want a leading actor, though. You still want somebody that can be good in that leading role. Originally, I went with Owen Wilson, and I had him for a long time.
And then I thought of my brother Luke, who's better looking.
Well, I said, well, we would have to dye his hair because, Batman wasn't blonde. He had brown hair. Then I thought, why don't we just go with the brother, go with Luke Wilson? So that's what I did. I went with Luke Wilson. I was like, he weighs just another good Wilson brother. Let's go with him. He can also do cheesy. He can do campy. He can do leading role. He was just Stargirl.
Right. Absolutely. And he checks a lot of the boxes for me. He's certainly got the experience. I think one of the charming things that I remember, hearing all about, like Batman 66, like Adam West was not a huge star. Like he took the audition, but he was like more of a stage actor, and so he's like, I don't. It's a paycheck. It might be beneath me, on the philosophical level, but he's like, it's money. And then it blossomed into so much more for him. But I like Luke Wilson.
I would tell him, a lot of Hollywood movies, they want their actors to be super cut and they put them on diets and workout regimens, stuff like that. I'm telling him, you got to pudge up a little bit, man. You got to, and I think he'd be fine with that. Like, what, you mean I can eat more donuts? Yeah, you should eat more donuts. Okay. Definitely. And pizza.
More donuts, please.
Yes.
So mine is, again, I looked at the approximate age of Adam West. I looked at the backgrounds of Adam West and, who had a little stage experience, who has I actually went as far as searching like Broadway actors, in their 30s, something like that. And what I came away with was a beloved stage actor. He has been in some Disney animated movies. He was a recurring character on a very popular show. It's popular with some people. I didn't care for it, Glee. He was a recurring character on there, and he was a lead actor on a series that ran on a primetime network show called Mindhunter. And I am going it with Jonathan Groff. Now, you may not know the name, but if you might not have seen Frozen, but if you the viewer out there have seen Frozen, he was Kristoff, the ice guy. He was also King George III in Hamilton, so he's got the original. He was the original King George, the one that I know from watching Hamilton on Disney Plus. Again, he was in Glee. He was in Mindhunter. He's got a little stage, a little screen, a little big screen, a little big. It's a little oxymoron. But I also looked at. I feel like if you looked at a picture of Jonathan Groff, you could be like, "Oh, he looks very similar to what Adam West probably looked like when they were looking at headshots." Different facial features, but like
I could see that. Yeah,
not super cut. I'm guessing. I feel like he would fit that role. And again, since we're not looking for action star, because that's not the type of show that we're casting, he's got to be able to have some fun and got to be able to be a little self-deprecating with it, later in his career. So that's why I went Jonathan Groff.
Hey, that's an interesting choice. I would definitely not well known, but like you said, he was stage actor, and he's got a punch.
We're starting to find out about Jay Groff. I'm just saying. All
right, well, Big Jay Groff, welcome to the Nerd Dome.
Welcome to the show, everybody. That's it. We have officially cast a show that's not even in conversations of being made. Mike? Yet. Do you think if they move forward with this project, do you think they'd give us a call, be like, you know what? We heard this podcast, or we watched this video on YouTube. We really like some of their ideas.
If they want to be a success, they would.
Right.
I mean, we don't have 42 subscribers because we don't know what we're doing.
That's right. We have 42 subscribers because you've subscribed, your mom subscribed, and we have a good, close-knit group of YouTube mates who like to support us, and we like to support them. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Actually, this episode went a lot longer than I thought it would, but that tends to be... Well, next time we'll just be like, Mike, who do you have for Riddler? Great. Here's what I have.
We'll just be like, all right, 5, 4.
Without all the chit chat. So, but thanks if you made it all the way through, let us know what you thought about our picks. And if you haven't had the opportunity to drop your fan cast in, do so in the comments. And we'll see you next time, right here on Nerds United on YouTube. For the co-host of the year, Mike Luther, I'm Greg Mahachko. Be kind.
And rewind.